explain to everybody what the organization is and kind of what's happening there.
Sure. So, the one that does most of the rental assistance is actually a company called Smitten Kitten. It is an adult novelty store.
Really?
Yeah. But as this kind of developed, they took on themselves of taking in groceries and food and kind of doing a food pantry thing, and that's kind of evolved into mostly they are now working with vetting families for rental assistance. So they're taking in donations and doing all they can. They are currently providing rental assistance for 70 families.
And so who is targeted here? When I mean targeted, I mean who is the objective of the aid and the assistance? And is this a Minneapolis specific thing or what?
So right now they are focusing on families that are in Minneapolis that have been displaced because of ice, uh, b-
The
because of
ice raids.
immigration coming. Yeah, so anybody that's having to be displaced or has had to lose work and things like that. So they vet them, and that right now they've got 70 families that they're working with to do that. There's another group called World World Open Market, and they're providing assistance like 750 families regularly. So it's not the same families, but they can do it with 750 families a day. So they bring in the food, they put it into bags and care items, and they set it up. People come in, they get the food that they need, and they take it off. But they actually are able to sometimes do large groups or large quantities of food for other smaller mutual aid organizations. So um, a smaller church or something can come pick up food from them and then take it to their local church and distribute it from there.
So what's happening in Minneapolis right now is the community is rallying around these families that have been disrupted, destroyed, torn apart, with these raids and kind of putting their arms around them, making sure that there's food, rental assistance, there's income, there's warmth in the middle of summer. And it's happening from everything from existing charitable organizations to a variety of businesses.
Yeah.
Everyone's just kind of rallying and pulling themselves around. Is this happening just in Minneapolis, Robert? Do you know, or is it happening all over the country?
It's so they're starting to get groups from like Maine will come in and they'll work with these groups in Minneapolis to figure out the blueprint of how to take it, and they'll take it back to Maine. Or they'll come from Ohio, they'll come from Tennessee, all over, and you will. They're still coming in from Chicago and kind of learning this process where they're dispatching and how to kind of organize and put all this stuff together. It's odd. It's it's not odd. That's not the right word to put it. It's amazing really to see these people learning how to do this in real time.
And
The-
in Minneapolis again, the why, I'm gonna ask the why Minneapolis. Why are they so good at this?
I've only lived a few places, Mike. I've never seen a group of people that cared as much about their neighbors and their neighborhoods
Wow.
and their community as it's almost as if they take it all very personally. And I met the coolest thing I've got to do, not to take anything away from any of these other groups, but I sat with Haven Watch last night in a car outside of the Whipple building where people are being released from detainment
Mhm.
with a a guy that started out as being a protester on the ground and just he needed something to do to feel like he was being productive in this thing. And this husband and wife noticed that they're releasing people out of Whipple and just they were having to just stand in a parking lot and hope for the best. They were taking their phone from them. A lot of times these people are taken from their homes where they don't have the proper clothing and stuff. So when they release them, they just release them back with
Jeans,
nothing
jeans and a t-shirt in a freezing parking lot.
sometimes. And so they were kind of trying to put these people together and take them out to uh, their homes or try to get them in touch with family and stuff. And this has turned into this very organized thing where they've got 10 to 12 people there 24 hours a day receiving people because nobody knows when the people are going to be released. And they'll come out of the building and they have worked out now where they can be released to the Haven Watch group. Uh, they'll be given a cell phone and shoes if they need them, or clothing, coats, whatever they need to stay warm. They'll get in touch with their families, and then they'll have a place to stay until their family arrives, or they will take them somewhere they need to go. It's an incredible organization, and these people get all of the frontline information. They sit with these people for sometimes an hour or two waiting on rides, and they just unload the information of where they've been and how long they've been detained, what the treatment has been like, what the facilities are like. Um, it's very emotional. You will watch people that have been gone for, a month, 2 months sometimes, and then their family pulls up, and it's a lot of anger and joy all at the same time. That uh, it's like watching an airport terminal, but under the worst circumstances. So that was an incredibly, incredibly cool thing to get to witness, is just watch these people that are out there of their own, giving up their free time. Most of these people, I think everyone that I met last night has a full-time job, and then they will come out after work and they will work a shift. They have a schedule that they've signed up for. Um, and again, it is, they know they have no idea what they're getting into every day. It may be 30 people that are released. Typically, on average day, anywhere between 20 and 30 are typically being released out. Could be as many as 50. Ilhan Omar was there yesterday in the morning, so they didn't have quite as many released yesterday because they didn't have anyone in the facility while they toured. So the 10, I think, that were released yesterday evening were all released after their visit. So brought back into the facility after the visit. So very, gosh, it feels dystopian, like it's something you're not supposed to have ever seen in the United States, that sort of treatment, and
Are you left more by the weight of it all or the hopefulness of it all or both?
it's a little bit of both. These people aren't stopping, so whatever kinda comes out of it, they will evolve this group into something that's positive for the community. There's no doubt about that. Whenever they stop having people released from detainment because of ICE, they will turn into something else. It's in the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks, this has become a way of life for people, that they are just committed to being productive in their community, which is
How
great.
go go.
No, that's it. Just that it's amazing to see people that are, it's not being angry anymore for the sake of being angry. There was a lot of that early on with the protests and the, being in front of Whip. Now it's just people doing good for the sake of doing good.
Mm.
Um, and trying to figure out how they continue this as, we see things. It's hard to say there's a drawdown. I know you'll hear that on the news a lot, but there's still reports that every day they pull up the reports of how many people were detained, how many people were, how many sightings there were of people being arrested and detained by ICE. And it's like a drop in a pond. Like the ripples are it's just getting further out, so it's not less, it's just more diluted. You're not seeing the concentrations in the downtown areas and the, groups of 10 and 20 going. It's smaller groups further out. But as far as total number, I can't say that it looks like there's fewer coming in and out of Whipple. They're trying to purchase facilities or move into facilities that are kind of in the outlier areas, Minnetonka and Topeka and Elgin, areas like that that are around the metro. They're trying to kind of push out there a little bit and not operate out of Whipple as much, which is the federal building there in Minneapolis. But we'll see. I don't know. It's
How are you gathering your thoughts and emotions to start writing on this, or are you gonna write about this?
I'm going to write about notebooks. you know, I so many people don't want to talk to people with a camera anymore, which
Yeah.
I completely understand. So I leave, when I talk to anybody, I go in with a notebook and a pen, and I tell them that I'll send them whatever I write beforehand and make sure they're okay with it. And I leave my phone off or in somewhere else. I don't even take it in. We don't record anything because so many people are concerned about their own safety just in doing the help. There was a couple of people that have been stabbed it outside, like in the St. Paul area, that is just out doing the mutual aid, just out gathering food for the neighbors. A guy that was stabbed in the chest the other day. Um,
Who,
and so now
who's
they all wear
who's stabbing? Like counter protesters?
it's it's typically people that have either counter protesters or counter agitators that have a problem with what they're doing, which I don't understand why you'd be mad about anybody just gathering food. And they're typically not of the community, is what more the violent people. It's not typically people in the specific community. They may be from Minnesota, but they may be from the suburb, from more rural areas or something. So it's just interesting that people would have to wear a bulletproof vest or a flak jacket to pack groceries in a church to send out. Um, and I don't want to say any of it's sensationalized because I think once you hear about a couple of people being treated that way, if I were doing, I'd probably put on something, that would protect me to some degree. So I don't know. There's a lot going on. It's as far as gathering my thoughts. I kind of when I get back to the house at the end of the day, I I just kind of decompress and debrief myself and just put it all, what I wasn't able to get in the notes. I try to have a full just um, decompression session with it and just get it out on paper. Uh, so I've got a lot of bubble cluster diagrams and outlines and stuff that are just trying to put all the thoughts together because so much will happen in a day. You'll start one place and they'll tell you about somebody else that's doing something. So you run over there and talk to them, and then you just see this network of people working together, and it just becomes impressive to you.
How many people would you say are involved in the effort on a daily basis?
Thousands,
Thousands.
yeah, easily. Um, Everybody has got these small networks of a couple hundred people, that work in these communities. Uh, with We were at Mashiki Studios yesterday, and that is owned by a husband and wife. She's a poet and a writer, and they're indigenous, um, and they were doing medicine and things like that. Like, that was their storefront. And suddenly now they're this hub for the indigenous community and anyone that's been displaced there. So they have all these people that volunteer and come in and work and sort groceries and sort these food to make sure it gets distributed out to the families that need them. And so they've got a couple of hundred people working for them. Um, the World Free Market has a few hundred people work or a couple hundred people working for them. All of these little things just have these large kind of isolated groups of people that are work, 3 or 4 hours a day or 10, 12 hours a week. And so there's no there's no lack of hands. Now it just becomes financial assistance and how do we keep people funded and how does that look, moving forward.
That's such an important message of everybody doing a little bit and how big it gets
Mhm.
and quickly. And then that starts to solve a lot of different, creates a different set of problems, which are eminently more solvable once you have that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Once you can move food or you can get people warm or you can get people protected and sheltered. Yeah, money's always going to be a consideration, but usually when you get to that point, it's because you've solved the triage part of it, the immediacy of the problem.
They've gotten very, very good at figuring out how to do the Mashiki Studios can do like a 24-hour turnaround for a family. So if a family needs help, they can within 24 hours they can have food delivered to them. So it's not even people having to come out of their homes if they're in some sort of sheltering in place or hiding in place. They are able to get that food dropped off to them as if it were DoorDash or Amazon. I mean, it's incredible.
How,
Um,
who can, if people can give money, where should they give money to, Robert?
so to all of those places individually, and the best thing for me to do is to take and put I will post to my Substack what their Venmos or uh, GoFundMe things are. And all of them, like I said, I promise you, every one of them I've seen, and I know that they're out there doing the work. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're definitely getting it done. And I'll post that to Substack and share it with you.
Yeah, send
Uh,
it to me so I can get on my Substack and my YouTube and just start
yeah,
getting it all out there and start building the resources to get people help quickly. Thank you for that.
yeah, man. It's God. If you ever start to think that, or if I ever start to think that I am doing some good in the world, this is a stark reminder that you can always do more. These people are, none of them are on social media trying to, make attention for themselves. They are just showing up every day, uh, doing it for the sake of helping their friends and neighbors and community, and it's impressive. That's really the best word I have for it.
And inspiring.
Inspiring uh, is the least of it. It does make you understand that humanity still exists in most of us. It is, whatever we've decided is kind of the default, nobody cares, is not true. Um, when the worst of it comes through, people do band together and they do the things that are hard and they do the things that are necessary. And unfortunately, we have to wait for this kind of nonsense to happen before we see a lot of it. But if you've convinced yourself that the humanity of us doesn't exist anymore, that's fortunately not very true.
Good. And again, thanks for sharing with so many people because I think a lot of people need to hear that. But having said that, part of the nonsense that you're talking about, I know you're kind of going back into the lion's den tomorrow. I think you're heading out. This is your last day in Minneapolis.
Tomorrow's my last day, but I leave so early on Monday. It might as well be my last day. So I'm back with more communities tomorrow, which is the group that does the education for these large groups. And then we're doing I have a thing that I'm going to with a gentleman who did the, um, uh, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to get back to you on the name. I'll remember it in just a second. A documentarian that invited us out to a viewing of one of his documentaries. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do that tomorrow, and then fly out Monday morning at like 3:30 in the morning for DC. So it's a monster.
Yeah. And speaking of monsters, you're going into DC to do the State of the Union response.
Yeah. So I've got doing a rebuttal for the State of the Union with the defiance.org team, which is Miles Taylor's group out there. So that'll be live on Substack and probably Instagram or something, but it'll be available right after, probably within 30 minutes. I've already got the framework pretty much. We kind of know what he's say a little bit. So I'll be doing live writing in the middle of it, trying to get all the words and stuff that we want. And then, so within 30 minutes, I should have a rebuttal ready to go.
Have there been pretty aggressive and your rebuttal will be in writing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'll be posting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Okay, great. So everybody follow along. If you're not already, I think most people here are already following Robert, but if you're not, follow him on here on the Substack, which is probably where you'll be posting it.
Yes, I'll do a post and I'll do a live. So I'll read it live and then I'll post it right after.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we'll all be tuning in on Tuesday night, right?
Yes. It's gonna be a late one too. So
Is he planning on doing it later than normal?
I think the Capitol closes at 7 for his arrival. So I guess he'll be coming in at 8:30.
8:30
Uh
East Coast time.
yeah. And he bloviates, so we're hoping it's over by 10:30.
Yeah, and he has a tendency to want to run the clock out of prime time for the response. I mean, he knows what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But you know what are I mean, what are you guys anticipating? Has there been any strategic planning about what you are expecting?
I know there's gonna be a lot on the tariffs, you know. He'll I feel like he'll run a lot on immigration and how great of a job ICE has done. I think will be a big part of it. And then how great the tariffs were for the country and how terrible of an idea it is that stuff. I mean, he just increased the global tariff to 15% from 10. Um, so it's just going to be self-service, I'm sure, which is essentially what I'm anticipating. So, we talked the last week about whether or not, how far into the down the road do you go with them, and trying to counter their exact message? Or do you just say, here's what he said, it's why it's wrong, and then here's what we need to look forward to for, the midterms and then for 28. So I don't know. That's where I'm on the fence right now, is which direction that needs to go.
My advice, not that it was solicited, but I'll offer it. I'm like the king of unsolicited advice here, Robert.
Look,
It's just
I'm here for it, man.
drive your own narrative. Drive your own narrative.
Yeah.
There used to be this old adage, which was always true. Sometimes it's even been true in the Trump era, is that you really can't screw up a State of the Union address because it's like everything is orchestrated on all of your terms in the way that works the best for you. The
Mhm.
problem with Donald Trump is he goes off script, he goes off message, and he is so petty. And at a time when everything is going bad, he's going to have to stand there in stark contrast to the truth as evident in everybody's own eyes. Like, don't try to surf on his wake, which is the way most State of the Union rebuttals are done. Just drive your own narrative. Acknowledge what he's doing, but speak to the bigger moment and to the challenge before Americans because they already don't believe him. They already know, even and I don't just mean Democratic base voters. I'm talking about independents and swing voters and young voters and Latino voters and some of these core constituencies that moved towards him last time. They're not in a persuasion mode. They're in a response mode where they just want to hear where to go. And I think your unique ability to capture the moment, I think, is what a lot of people are going to be looking to and treat it sort of like an analyst looking at a petri dish and saying, "This is what's going on in there," as opposed to jumping into the petri dish and trying to do the mano a mano, tete-a-tete response.
Yeah,
Don't even just look down at it. Don't get in there with it. That's my advice.
I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, to think about, especially with what you're seeing now. Show that contrast, the humanity you're talking about, the people doing the right thing. That's the American character, not what we're witnessing on this spectacle, desecrating our institutions. The institutions of American character are found on the streets of Minneapolis, not here on the dais of this, you know, carny barker.
I was driving in. We brought some mutual aid stuff in on uh, last week when we drove in from Chicago, and driving through rural Wisconsin and rural Minnesota, you would see these Trump flags that were just on the ground, kind of like had that were not uh, tended. I mean, there was a time where there's no way that a Trump flag would be on the ground, uh, and it's a good. I feel like it's a good sign. Like, I feel like there is a lot of that moment has run its course a little bit.
I feel the fever's broken or it's breaking.
Um, so that was good to see. Whether it means anything or not, it made me feel better about the situation, and so I'll take it. You know,
Get any pictures?
no, I'm the worst person on social media. I forget that I'm supposed to take pictures of things and like post them to the internet and stuff. Uh,
Powerful image. That would be a powerful image to capture.
yeah,
But yeah,
I'm gonna have to get better at it. Uh, if the next time I see anything like that, I promise I will start getting better at taking pictures. But uh, it is powerful imagery, and I don't think it's just around here, I think it is most places. You'll
I do
see a
too.
lot of just, um, it's whatever magic there was for people in that is has run its course. Uh,
I think it's just a fatigue. It's like people they're done, and everything people were promised is not true. It's not evident, and I think there's this just realization that like whatever the motivation was, it's people are tired of it. And
yeah,
I think it's going to cause I think it starts on the streets as you're witnessing, but I think DC is not too far away from seeing even the more significant fractures than what we've seen. What's after DC? Do you get to go home for a little bit?
get to go home for a little bit. Uh, I'm hoping that I get invited to the Gnome hearing on the 3rd,
Oh
so I'm
wow.
still waiting on that, but fingers crossed. Um, and then I've got a thing in West Palm Beach on the 7th, and then just some small things. You know, I've got to be in Greenville, South Carolina for a speech for an indivisible group there on the 28th, and then I'm home for a while. Um, mostly home. Bouncing back and forth. No more long stretches. I don't think. I've got a. I'll probably have to do another week or 10 days in Minneapolis. There's some people that I didn't get to talk to, and I want to see kind of where things are a month from now, kind of thing. But for the most part, it should settle down and slow down just a little bit.
Are you seeing a lot of documentarians? You mentioned one. Is there more than one camera groups out there?
They're they're kind of here and there. You'll see one at the memorials, you know, and a reporter or somebody obviously doing some sort of documentary. Uh, Not as many as there were obviously 2 weeks ago or a month ago when it was really in the heat of it. I think some of it's dwindled, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of really good work happening now. That's not as it's not as you know, food pantries aren't sexy, right? Like nobody's, it's not getting the big clicks. So that's the problem with it is the rebuilding community part isn't as it doesn't play as well on camera.
Although with a good storyteller is I don't need to tell you a good
Mhm.
storyteller
Yeah.
can make a
You
big
got to get the emotional part, yeah.
you got to be able to capture the whole imagery of it all.
And hopefully I'm able to do that. That's my goal is to, as we've talked about. Uh, it doesn't, I don't feel unsafe ever, anywhere we
Good.
go, none of that. So, and I think a lot of that feeling has left. You aren't seeing the guards in parking lots or people having the locked doors on restaurants as often. They typically still have a door person that's going to let you in and out in the immigrant owned restaurants, but they're not. It's not quite as it doesn't. The city doesn't feel as fearful. Now in the suburbs, that's all is very new, so there's some pretty extreme feelings out towards there, but Minneapolis proper isn't quite as you're not feeling the unrest that there was even 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's good.
That is good. It feels like maybe there's a sense of decency, feeling that space that's been created.
Charging.
Oop, is that you?
No, it was my phone. I plugged my phone in and it talks to me when I do it.
We all need reminders. We all need reminders.
Uh,
We got some big primaries coming up. Texas is coming. That's a real big one. I was thinking I might get down there this coming weekend to kind of check out the ground down there. I think it's going to be a really, really important one in terms of determining the narrative of where the Democratic Party is going to be going and where the Republican Party is going to be going.
you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, the Republican numbers seem to be benefiting Paxton right now, which I think is good for the competitiveness of the state. I think Paxton is eminently beatable in that Texas Senate primary.
Yeah.
And it goes to show kind of what I've said over and over is that Republicans can't help themselves. And they are different than Democrats in that way. Democrats, when you look at some of the primary stuff that's been happening, especially during the Trump era, Democrats have kind of swallowed some of their policy positions to be like, we need to get the most viable candidate to beat these guys, and they've done a much better job of voting more strategically and more methodically than the Republicans are capable of. I don't think Republicans are actually even capable of that. Which explains, I think, some of the intractable extremism which has consumed the party under Donald Trump. All of which is to say, and I think that from the conversations I'm having with folks, the data sure looks like it's breaking this late break towards Tallarico. I know that might upset people.
Well, the numbers are the numbers. I mean,
The numbers are the numbers, and from what I'm hearing from internals, the late internals are starting to show momentum towards Tallarico. That doesn't surprise me. There's always a late break, especially when the polling data is as muddy as it is, as we call it. There's just a lot of noise. You've seen public polling showing Crockett up, double digits, and then Tallarico up double digits, and different demographics breaking wildly one way or the other. There doesn't seem to have been a real clear, concise understanding of even the lanes, whether they're ideological or whether they're racial and ethnic, or whether they're in the Rio Grande Valley or the urban core of Houston or the suburbs. Like there's just nothing has given us a real good clean line. And I talked to a lot of the data guys, the pollsters on both sides. The guy would like saying, what are you seeing? And everybody's seeing the same thing, which is it's messy. It's just cloudy, and you're not seeing a whole lot of too many people going out publicly making these claims, other than people who are either paid to or have an ideological persuasion to do so. So I do think it is going to be clarifying, and I don't think it will be terribly close. By the way, I could be wrong. Nobody knows how this is going to break, but usually a late break in the last 10 days is when voter sentiment gels, and it
yeah.
very, very rarely splits 50-50. Like you saw this with Harris and Trump. Like it all breaks hard in one direction, and somebody usually would pick up all seven, battleground states, as opposed to one getting three and the other one getting four.
Sure.
It's very, very, very common in campaigns where that are either close or muddy, as we call them, cloudy, that the voter sentiment is going to move one direction hard in one way or the other. And from what I'm hearing, some of the early momentum shifts are moving towards internally consolidating towards the Tellerico campaign. And people on the ground I'm talking to, there's a lot of people that are walking and knocking and door knocking and feeling that sense. So again, it's anecdotal. I don't have any hard evidence. Those are conversations that I'm having. I think either of them against Paxton become very competitive. I think it's a very difficult environment for Republicans. I think there's a good chance that they lose. I think 3 of those 5 new House seats. I think the Republicans are going to be tied down in seats that they had no business weakening to try to steal 5 seats. I think I think it's just going to have been a massive tactical error. I mean, there's a long way to go, and a lot of things are going to be happening, including the war drums are beating Robert. We're moving aircraft carriers into positions in the Mediterranean. I mean, that's an act of war. Um,
What a mess that what an unnecessary mess.
Brother, the right words at the right time. What an unnecessary mess. That's like the Trump era. I finished a piece I just posted today called "On War and Peace" about Einstein's statement that you can't simultaneously prevent and prepare for war. We are literally during the Board of Peace press conference photo op, we're moving aircraft carriers into position to bomb in the Middle East, like at the same time. Like, you can't make it up. If this was a movie, nobody would believe it. Like, they would throw that script out and say this is just not believable. It's ridiculous. But
I,
it's literally what we're doing is that we are literally simultaneously preparing for war and posturing as peacemakers.
yeah, under the what does he call himself now? The most peace aware president. I mean, Um, I just the mental gymnastics that are having to occur, and I think that has a lot to do with what when we talk about there being fatigue in this, is that how do you continue to support or even defend any of the it's it's so far outside of anything normal, um, that I don't even know where to start with it sometimes, Mike.
Well, look, he's not okay. I think he's not okay. He probably believes he is the peacemaker, but everybody around him has their faculties. They know better. Like, how are they? They're worse. I mean, he's at least got a clinical explanation for I guess. I don't know. It's just unnecessary, and lives are going to be lost and billions of dollars. You see, Washington Post had a story in their paper today saying, top aides don't know what to do with the $500 billion of excess money they have in the military budget. At the time we're running record deficits and debt and people are, going hungry, we are committing so much money to a military that we don't know what to do with it. And when you have that much infrastructure for a war machine, war becomes inevitable. It's impossible not to. Like, all you're doing is building and manufacturing more and more infrastructure for something you're never going to use. Like, that doesn't make it. That's just not sensible.
If only a general turned president in the '50s had warned us about this, you
If
know?
only Eisenhower had said something about
You know, if only somebody had said something. You know, I wish you could say it was surprising, and then you've got senators like Cotton who are just doubling down on, "We've gotta protect America." Uh, I mean, yes, but not against foreign threats at this. I mean, what are we doing? We're creating problems that we then, I guess, are gonna pretend to fix. I don't understand any of it. Um, and it's not that this has been going on for a long time, by, administrations on both sides of the aisle, but it just feels more and more reckless the closer we get to November.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue to see that, not just because the political situation gets more precarious, but also as he gets suffers more and more setbacks internally with his own administration, internally with his own, Republican defections from the Senate and the House, willing to stand up against him, a Supreme Court that has finally said something, however, mealy mouthed and weak, standing up against an unconstitutional act finally a year in. And then, of course, I think his own feeble mental and deteriorating mental state. All of these lead to, I think, a paranoia that is at times deeply, deeply troubling because of the awesome powers that he controls. But also, I think you got to have a little bit of hope that maybe it can also prevent some of the recklessness. Maybe that's just too hopeful. Maybe that's too Pollyannish.
I keep thinking or hoping I that someone will pull the leash, or that if there is one, that there's only so far we can go before you're really, really risking generation. And I know that there's some people will say that we've already done generational damage, and there's probably a lot of truth to that. But at some point, it becomes multi-generational. It becomes our standing on the world stage even after we have, a change in leadership, and, and we really start to move things forward. How far buried are we at that point? Both with our reputation economically and then our reputation militaristically. I don't know. I I didn't think that in a year you could do this kind of thing to it. So we're a year in. We've got another 8 months until, or 10 months until, um, midterms. Where do we end up? Um, in that time frame, how far do they push it? I I don't know. I don't think that the SAVE Act goes through. I think that the Senate will vote against it again. Um, but I worry that there will be some version of it that will finally get through. And, how far do they push the voter rolls, to getting access to those and purging those in October, which makes it almost impossible to be able to have people vote or count those votes early November. So I don't know. What do you think?
I remain optimistic. I'm more optimistic now than I think I had been. I do believe, like I said, I do believe that 2026 will go down in history as the toughest year of this decade, the toughest year of the Trump era. But I am also finding myself as February is staging its close, that I'm more optimistic than I thought I would be. Only because I don't believe that we have done any damage that can't be repaired to this
Yeah,
point. Can he do
yeah,
can he do more? Certainly he can. But we are seeing the state of the resistance stronger than I have seen it at any time during any moment of Trump holding power of the office. It has never been stronger. And I'm not saying it's strong enough, but I think momentum is clearly on the side of the opposition. And I think that that matters. And I think that people have had it. And like I said, I think it's going to build. And I think we're going to see a lot of election results continue in the same vein that we saw in 2025. And that will make Trump more erratic, which makes him weaker because that erratic chaos, starting with Liberation Day, is what really rattled financial markets. It pushed our foreign allies out of their stasis and into the realization that they needed to be the responsible party, that the American people couldn't be looked to as a guardrail, at least at that moment. And we elected him
sure.
again. And I think that with that realization, a lot of Americans have woken up. It's like you're seeing Trump flags on the ground. You're seeing a quiet defeat, a pall hanging over MAGA world with many, I'm not going to say most, but many starting to go, this is indefensible. Like, what am I
Yeah,
defending here? Like,
yeah,
from the Epstein files to the tariffs, which are clearly doing damage, to the rattling of the markets, to the obvious um, diminishment of our stature on the global stage. Like, you have to be really, really deluded, and a lot of them are, into believing that there's something you can rally around the flag on. There's just not
sure.
much, and he's even when he was given this win. I think I posted yesterday on social media, like, Florida man is, you know, they took away rather than stop digging his own grave on the tariffs, he doubles down with a more expensive shovel. Like,
Yeah,
he had an exit on the tariffs politically, which were bad policy. They're clearly doing damage and getting worse. He could have turned the Supreme Court decision into a positive by making it a pivot point and saying, this was going to work, but they messed it up. And so I'll try something else. Like, blame
Mike,
him.
I said yesterday when they announced it, I said, it feels to me like he is going to use this as his off ramp, that it was going so poorly that he needed an out that allowed him to save
Yes.
face with his plan. And then he did the 50. I was like, this guy has no idea what's going on.
He has no idea. He's doubling down on dumb with, like I said, with a more expensive shovel from more expensive tariffs. It's unbelievable. But then it's not. And then you realize the more exercise we get about it, it's kind of like what's happening in Minneapolis. At a certain point, you realize that building infrastructure and getting up and doing good every day is what replaces all of this bad stuff in a better way. And
Yeah.
I think that's where the country's moving towards. It's like slowly, but that's what gives me hope. It's not just, although it is part of it, that the charitable stuff and people taking care of each other as you're witnessing, but it's also those that have been kind of the enabling class are realizing there's got to be a post-Trump way, and we've got to move past this now. I mean, you're seeing it from the pod bros.
Yeah.
Those guys who are just all about Trump are like, this is absurd. There's nothing right here. Joe Rogan and company. They're done. They've had it, and they're not coming back. They're just not. I think they're those that were so publicly supporting this have been humiliated, embarrassed in their own way. And even if there was a little something that they could defend it on, I think they would still be defending it. There's nothing anymore.
I think there was a certain amount of lack of understanding of the way governance works amongst those guys.
Yeah.
And to think, well, this guy's got a better plan than whatever they disliked about progressive politics or whatever. And then I don't know, nothing will nothing will turn a pod bro quicker than the threat of embarrassment, you know?
Good,
And
well put.
that I feel like that's where we're at. It's like you can either hang with this and be embarrassed forever because there's fundamental proof that you're wrong. Like it's not even a question anymore. It's on paper. That you were terribly wrong in your choice, and yes, you were lied to or manipulated or whatever, but I don't think they really cared that much, to be honest. Uh, and now there's like you said, if there was anything to defend, they would still defend it, but there's nothing left. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what you hang your hat on. Like the Save Act, or what are they gonna run on? Like the ICE stuff has been a debacle. The economy is in getting worse and it's in shambles now. The dollar's in trouble. Like I said, we're about to go to war. All these America firsters, and Trump never started any war. I mean, he encouraged the bombing of Iran last time. We decapitated the Venezuelan political regime. We're threatening to invade Greenland. Like, and now we're lining up aircraft carriers in the Middle East to strike Iran. Like, while we are holding a sparsely attended summit, primarily of dictators and warmongers,
Mhm.
calling it a board of peace. And like it's so plastic, it's so cosmetic, it's so obviously fraudulent on its face that you would have to be a fool to stand for it. And I think that's part of this collapse. Is it's not even worth the fight and owning the libs anymore. It's tired. It's played out.
Yeah.
It's exhausting and it's just dumb now.
I God, I hope that that sentiment rings through every Trump voter, and supporter that still exists, because none of it is doing anything for cost of living. None of it's doing anything for, healthcare access or hungry kids or hungry like, none of it. Like, none of it's beneficial. We feel like a here Germany has 2 teams that typically come over to Minnesota and do friendly soccer matches, a couple of times a year, and they've already said, it's like, "Yeah, we're not coming." Like, we're not.
Well,
There
don't blame them. Don't blame them for a second.
there are countries that are not gonna participate in the World Cup,
Yeah.
um, because it's here. I mean, we have no real standing left. I mean, even our allies don't trust us. And so what is there left to be proud of? We're
Canada declared the end of the, American hegemonic era.
yeah,
Canada, rightfully and accurately
yep,
and soberly, had to explain to the world, we're Canada. We've been their closest ally. We've had this seamless, porous ideological and geographical border. We're saying it's over. America can't be trusted. They're not a reliable partner, and we're not. We're not.
uh,
We got a lot of self-inventory to take. And I don't know that we've hit rock bottom yet or not, but I think this is probably the year that we do. And the good news, like I was saying, the reason why I'm hopeful is I am seeing a lot of signs. And look, I've been as fooled by as others by saying, "Oh, the people will have enough at this point. Like they're not gonna, they'll see through this." But I have never seen a 90-day period where so many Republicans have turned on Trump. Like, the last 90 days have been extraordinary. Any one of the big changes, starting with the break on the Epstein files with Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, that's when it
yep,
started. And the passing, the death of Charlie Kirk created a vacuum where there's no message discipline in the right-wing media ecosphere anymore. It's every person for themselves. Everyone's scrambling for money and reputation and network and positioning to be the next heir to whatever he was. And there isn't going to be a tip of the pyramid anymore. It's much more flattened out where everybody's just scrambling. And you add the lack of the media infrastructure in the right wing and the revolt happening in Republican land all since fall. And these are very consequential, meaningful breaks that he's not reining back in and getting control of. It's getting worse. And there's going to be more Epstein information coming out. That's going to dog him until the end of this presidency. And like I said, the economy is getting worse, and on and on and on. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but
No.
I don't see how they pull out of this. I mean, they're going to try to have people rally around the flag by killing the Ayatollahs in Iran. You may get a little MAGA bump, but that MAGA bump gets you to 38 from your 36 position.
Yeah.
And it will probably dissipate in a week.
And I don't think anybody cares enough, truly, about Iran. I don't think you can make them a big enough threat
No.
to justify any of it at this point. I mean, maybe a threat to Israel, but certainly not a threat, not a real
Correct.
world threat to the United States. So what are you doing?
And that's it. Is they all they can play is the song they know, and the song they know has played out. And so they'll keep doing it while the Titanic sinks. The orchestra will keep playing, and I think that's where the opportunity is for, like I was saying on the State of the Union response, is start providing a vision and reminding people that we can imagine better days, because for a decade we haven't. We've been in triage mode. Remind people of what is happening in Minneapolis, Robert. Remind people of what we can be. I don't even want to say a return. Don't make it a retrospective. Imagine anew what we can be. Anyway,
I like that.
yeah.
Okay. I'm stealing part of that, Mike. Sorry.
No, that's why I'm here. You're gonna
The next-
whatever.
Next time you see that, it'll be Tuesday. Everybody,
Take it. Take it.
I do have to go to a
Let's
dinner.
Go get it.
With some. Actually, I'll talk to you about this dinner after I get finished with it. It's going to be a very cool thing. So,
thanks for making the time. I know you're super busy,
man.
but I want people to sense what you're doing, because I know you're doing good work down there.
I love it. I will call you when I'm done with dinner and tell you about it. So,
try to get some rest too. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll talk again next week.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike. Bye.